So hello again, everybody. My name is Kevin, and I'm going to be talking for the next 15 minutes a little bit about the FathomNet database and sharing with you all some of the news and updates around this solution. So briefly, right, Kakani gave us a great introduction to what the FathomNet database is and some of its goals in the context of the whole FathomNet program. I just want to show you a few elements of the FathomNet database ecosystem that you can plug into, some of the links where you can find things, etc. And then I'll talk a little bit about a really exciting collaboration that we have in the works now, which is a collaboration between the World Register of Marine Species and FathomNet. Um, and I'll wrap up by talking briefly about this year's Kaggle competition, which Kakani also gave us a shout out to before. But just to start off, right, I want to show you some of these numbers. I pulled this directly from the database website last night. To date, we have just over 340,000 bounding box localizations in the database, and these are made across almost 140,000 images. So the FathomNet database has been growing. It's really exciting to see this as a sort of community effort. You can see, right, this is only made possible by our fabulous community. You all of almost 900, and I think actually this morning we just eclipsed 900 database contributors. So it's really phenomenal to be seeing this resource growing. If you are interested too, I do want to shout out again that Brian and Laura have the breakout session on how to submit data. So if you want to be part of this effort, please go check out their breakout. Right, and the FathomNet database is not a static resource. There is this open source ecosystem that we've been developing to try to make these data more accessible and also to curate the models that we are training on these data. Right. This is a very integrated open source ecosystem that is completely public and open access. But I do want to call out that the database website is the primary access point to the data. It offers great abilities to search for data that you're interested in. It'll give you an overview of the data, but then also it allows you to zoom in and look at individual images and annotations. You can see details about them, such as the bounding box itself, latitude, longitude, depth for images where that's available, other ancillary metadata that may have been collected is all made publicly accessible through the database website. You can also see history about each different annotation. So that is all kept track of as the IDs change and as these annotations get verified. You can see that all in the interface. One thing I do want to call out very briefly is that in order to see some of the history of the different annotations, I suggest clicking the big sign in button at the top right and setting up a quick account. All it takes is a Google login. And the other thing I want to shout out now is Kakani's breakout, right? So if you're interested in learning more about this interface and how you can use it in order to verify data and contribute your taxonomic expertise back to the program, definitely recommend giving that one a visit. Right, and the other side of the FathomNet database is this model repository. So the FathomNet models are available on a website called Hugging Face. You can see it from the link here, or all of these links are also available through the database website if you go there. We have 10 machine learning models currently trained, and these are trained by the community, and also some are curated from the FathomNet team. I'm going to be stepping through how you can explore this interface to demo out some of the different models on your own data, see the details about how these models were trained, and other sorts of information like that. So come check out my breakout. We'll also step through a few ways that you can actually spin up these models to generate data, generate annotations on your own data. There's a few more resources that I want to call out too. We have a blog. It's migrated now to fathomnet.org, and we're currently in the process of migrating some of the documentation that we've previously had on Medium into this blog. So in this blog, you can expect to see some documentation on how to use the FathomNet database, as well as relevant news and updates as we post those. Some other things that we have are living on our YouTube channel, so you can go to youtube.com/fathomnet, including past workshop recordings. And last but not least, I do want to call out that again, we have this sort of open source mentality, right? All of our code is open source, and you can find it on our GitHub. We also track issues and manage our development on the GitHub organization, so you can see all of this publicly if you're interested in plugging in. We're always looking for help. And one last thing I want to shout out here is if you are a Python developer, we have really great support for using Python to interact with the FathomNet data and also the models. So that was FathomNet Database in a nutshell. Next thing I want to talk about is this collaboration that we have ongoing with the World Register of Marine Species, worms. So shortly after our workshop last year, we signed a memorandum of understanding with worms, and this had the goal of enabling cooperation on the labeling of data curated from public data sets. Our two groups have very similar goals in that we are very minded towards the curation of these data for public use, right? And trying to ingest as much public data as we can and make it useful to the community is a shared goal of ours. So this data, as part of this effort, will be ingested into FathomNet and worms, and will stimulate the use of biodiversity information systems for scientific research. The last component of this effort is that staff from both organizations will be participating in annotating and verifying the data that we will be labeling using machine learning models, right? So in a nutshell, the idea here is that we are going to be looking at external data sets, and in particular, we're looking at iNaturalist, GBIF, and Invertbase for the existing data that they have publicly accessible. We're going to augment that using machine learning, and then both of our teams are going to collaborate on annotating and verifying this data. To give you an idea of our pipeline, we start from these external data sets, and like I said, we're going to be using some of these foundation computer vision models as well as ones that we've trained in-house here at FathomNet to automate this ingestion, generating the sort of baseline localizations on the images and doing some cursory review of the data. From there, right, we want to take these localizations and pull them into the FathomNet database. One big part of this effort is that we are going to be building out the FathomNet database UI to include functionality to enable bulk review and verification to make that workflow more efficient. And this is something that we'll be targeting for development in the middle of the year. Right, both the worms and FathomNet team will be collaborating to verify this imagery and to really curate this to a high quality, and at which point it's going to be ingested also back into the worms systems so that they can also present this data and make it useful to their users. So this is an effort that we're really excited about. It's been ongoing since September of last year, and we have two years of support generously funded by the Dahlia Philanthropies for this effort. Last thing I want to call out here is we have the FathomNet Kaggle competition. If you have been seeing the workshop in the past, you'll know that we've had two of these competitions in years past. We've had some focused on out-of-sample detection and novel category discovery. These competitions are really important for us to engage with the broader data science community and also explore some of the more unique challenges that are related to machine learning. And you can see some of the engagement metrics we've had in the past. This year, our competition is focused on hierarchical classification, where we're trying to get models to make finer-grained classifications within the existing taxonomies that we have. If you're interested in checking it out, I scan the QR code at the bottom right here. In terms of a timeline, right, we launched the Kaggle competition about a month ago, and we have just over 2 months to go. Participation-wise, right, we have 263 entrants, 9 participants, and 9 teams who have already signed up. I think these numbers are actually out of date now, so I think there's a little bit more competition in the mix, but over 93 submissions now as well. To give you a little bit of a better idea of what this challenge actually is, I want to give you an example, right? So let's say we have this image, we have 2 animals in it, and we're asking the question, right, like, what are these animals? Most people can probably say that we've got a crab and a fish in it, but let's focus on this crab in particular. A taxonomist may be able to identify, very clearly based on the sort of morphology of this animal, that this is a Tanner crab. And they would be correct, right? They've gotten this identification all the way down to the species level. Now let's look at this fish, right? That same taxonomist might be able to tell me this is a Sebastolobus. But this particular genus, Sebastolobus, has several species, right? Is it Aliscanus, Altivelis, Macrocure? I'm sure, Giovanna, I am butchering these names. But they have several species that are very morphologically similar. So from a single view like this, it might be very difficult to actually ascertain which one of the species it is. So in some contexts, right, in many contexts, it's actually very desirable that if a machine learning model is uncertain, it would be great if it could actually back up to maybe go to the genus level or the family level or even higher if it's uncertain about the sort of lower levels in the taxonomy and how to visually distinguish those. So, right, this year's challenge is all focused around how can we have our models, how can we build them to predict these animals at different levels of taxonomy. Now, how we're evaluating the submissions, right, is we have a large number of images that we are asking folks to classify where there's some ground truth species level classification that we have. And, we're asking people to use a machine learning model to train a machine learning model to predict at, any level in the taxonomy. So let's say we have an image of this Asteronix leveni, but somebody, runs their machine learning model and it spits out Asteronix, right? At the genus level. So we would grant this a score of 1 because it's one step away on the taxonomy that we have defined here. Now, let's say somebody else submits for the same image. Oh my gosh, Ophia Canthidae, I want to say. And this is, a completely separate family in a different order, but still in the same class. So how we would count this is we'd step up to the nearest common ancestor in the taxonomic tree, and then down to what the actual prediction was, counting the number of steps as we go, and this giving a score of 6. So, a worse score than that initial guess at the genus level. So this is the idea of how we're evaluating this competition. Fairly simple metric here, but you can see that we've actually already had some folks who are making really great progress. And you can see that column of score right now. This is the current leaderboard. So the best submission, I pulled this last night, has an average score on each image of 2.59. So they're 2.5 steps away on average from the correct detection. So I will leave you with the question: Can you guys do better, or do you know somebody who can? If so, I really encourage you to join the competition, scan this QR code, and also to share this competition with your networks. Like Kakani said, we're going to be presenting the results of this competition at the fine-grained visual categorization workshop at CVPR in June. So I really encourage you all to engage with this and potentially get your work sort of featured at CVPR. All right, to wrap it all up, I want to put things on a timeline here. We're currently in April, and this is where we're at in the year. For the past few months, we've been focused a lot on the FathomNet database on some backend development efforts, so revamps to the website, interface, and some modernizations and bug fixes there. This Kaggle competition is running March 3rd to May 26th. And upcoming, and now what we're working on, is building out these data pipelines as part of this WORMS collaboration to ingest these external data, right? Once we've got that effort wrapped up and all the pieces in place, we're going to start working on implementing the bulk review functionality into the database website so that we can look through all of these data and verify them in an efficient manner. And last but not least, one thing I do want to call out is that at the end of the year, we're going to be focused on building out support for some more annotation types within the FathomNet database, and specifically segmentation masks is our highest priority on that front. All right, and that's all I've got for you. I'll take any questions.